Alright, today I'm going to do a build description and a little bit of a gameplay showcase about something that I call the Tankclaimer build. Before I get started, a couple of shoutouts. The first to Eker, he's the first one that I heard say that, and I have kind of stolen the Tankclaimer, coined tag, name, put it on the video, put it on the build. That's what I'm calling this one. It's a really nice, it's catchy. It's kind of like Tanktician. I believe it performs much of the same role that the Tanktician did in patch 1.2, but it does it to a much better degree. It's much more valuable than the Tanktician ever was. So just putting that out there, has a lot of utility, really valuable build. A second shout out is to Disturbed Gaming. This build in a variant form was actually, discussed in a party chat that I was in, with him at the time. So there's going to be a link down in the description. I urge you to check out his content. Some really great stuff with the G36 nerf, some numbers he ran on that, so valuable things there. Go ahead and click that. Again, link down in the description, and proper attribution for theory crafting and the conversation that we had. That was fun. So moving on to the actual gear itself, I'll talk about gear, then weapons, then talents and skills and stuff, and then I'll get into the gameplay. I'll try and keep this video, a little bit shorter than, my previous ones, but again, I'm going to try and pack in as much information as possible. So here we go with the chest piece. This is possibly the best item I have in the gear set right now. As you can see, a great armor roll. Always try to roll armor on my chest piece. You do need some exotic damage resilience with this build, whether it's just 14% or not. You need some, so try and get a little bit of that. You can easily switch out the two-piece tack for two-piece final measure, but I chose to go with the tack to max out my sticky bomb. So I'm going for a little bit of EDR on the chest piece, and it works very nicely. First aid, self-heal, one of the most valuable skills in my book. Anything to do with your heal or your sticky bomb, really valuable on any of your reclaimer gear pieces, so keep that in mind. Talking about the 4-piece bonus really quick, that's what matters. I think the 3-piece bonus actually hurts the set, because when the consumable is active on your own person and it's not active on your team, it's a little bit annoying that you have to wait for it to run out on yourself as well, but no one else has the bonus before you can pop it again. So I would say that this set would be more valuable without the 3-piece bonus, but unfortunately there's no way to get just the 4-piece. So if it were just the 4-piece, you could pop it at the same time as your teammates, and it would, run out at the same time as your teammates. But with the 3-piece bonus, you're on a different timer, and it's a little bit obnoxious. But the 4-piece bonus is really valuable. I think most people have an understanding of what that is right now. But if not, I'm going to recap. Consumables and special ammo used now apply to the whole group and are not consumed on use. This means you can pop things infinitely as soon as they're off cooldown, whether it's increased healing, whether it's decreased cooldowns, whether it's explosives, incendiaries, any of that. It's a really fun mechanic, and it's really good in squad versus squad gameplay. Really quickly, Eker, in our squad versus squad video segments that we're doing, in the first one that we have up, he actually runs a reclaimer set, and it works very well, and you can see some of the ways that this set benefits squad versus squad PvP encounters. So check that out if you haven't already. Moving on to my mask, I'm going to try and speed it up a little bit in terms of just discussing the gear. I always roll skill power on my mask, and I always roll skill power on my backpack. This is a firearms mask. This could easily be rolled to stamina. Since you're not prioritizing weapon DPS, I would say that would probably be an optimized change. The gear score on this item is only 214, so there's much room for improvement, but even so, the build still functions very well. It performs its role to a very good degree. So it's not like you really need to have all 268s. This is a more realistic build composition where some people don't have the time to farm all 268s. In the end, it's something that's achievable, so having a few 214s in there is not going to kill the build, and it's also going to be something that a lot of players do have, especially with these types of sets that are a little bit less common than Blind and Firecrest. Everybody can get Blind and Firecrest, no problem, from the underground, but Reclaimer's a little bit harder to get your hands on. So then, in terms of skill attributes, Sticky Bomb Explosion Radius, that's a little bit secondary to Sticky Bomb Explosion Damage, but the radius is nice. It helps you proc Chain Reaction. It helps with the ins and outs of the Sticky Bomb, where if you fire it and it bounces on the ground, they have time to get out of the radius and things like that. So it's important to have skill attributes that complement the skills you're using, in this case Sticky Bomb or Heal. Moving on to my pads, there are these Reclaimer braces. Now they're 268, another really good piece of the build. They have a really great stamina roll. That's really nice. I've prioritized armor in the major attribute category over critical hit damage. A lot of people would say critical hit damage is something better you can get, because you can achieve the armor cap without actually, rolling it on your braces. I have not done that. The specific reasoning is that I'm not going to prioritize weapon DPS at all. My offensive capabilities rely on the Sticky Bomb, and my defensive capabilities rely on heal and being tanky. So, I want to achieve the armor cap. This was an easy way to do it, so that's why I rolled it. The minor attributes don't really matter. Enemy armor damage does help with against NPCs and things, which you will encounter pretty routinely. But overall, nothing that really matters. Skill attributes, I would prefer something to do with Sticky Bomb or Heal, but Pulse works if you end up doing PvE content with this build. I would say immediately switch from Sticky Bomb to Pulse. Your Pulse is going to have, a really quick recharge rate, a really giant bonus attached to it, and using it is going to help your team greatly to progress through NPC and PvE content in general. So that's really nice. Just to take a look at the last piece of Reclaimer, and I'll talk about my mods and attack pieces. The support pack, I rolled skill power again, 214 piece. There's a lot of room for improvement with that. Decent stamina roll. Ammo capacity is nice. Sticky bomb damage, that's the important part of this one. Beefing up that sticky bomb, making it like a nuke is something that a lot of players want to see, they want to use. So that's why I'm doing this build. So I'm lucky to have rolled that on the backpack. Ballistic shield health, irrelevant, doesn't matter. And then down here, stamina mods with skill power. So to recap all of these mods that I have in the Reclaimer set pieces, these are almost all stamina mods with skill power, and that's what you're going to want. You're going to want anything with skill power, another stamina with skill power, and if you run out, you can use something like a firearms mod with skill power, but skill power is the main thing that you're going to be looking for with mods. Now talking about the two-piece tack. I have these tack gloves. They're not ideal, but a lot of people have firearms gloves. In turn, I have these electronics gloves. It's helping me achieve, a higher skill power. It is a great bonus to have. But you could sacrifice the electronics on the gloves for even more tankiness. If you were to switch your mask to stamina and your gloves to stamina, both of those two pieces, you'd probably be well up over the 500 mark, probably closer to 600, maybe even on the mark on 600. So I don't know the actual fully tanked out min-maxed gear set. Like, I don't know what it looks like, but I know that there's the potential to be a super tank. Right now I'm just fairly tanky, not a super tank. The major attributes, kind of irrelevant. I'm not going to be prioritizing weapons hardly ever at all, but marksman rifle damage is nice. Damage to elites, kind of don't really care about that. Critical hit chance, it's all good. It's not something that I really, prioritize. Sticky bomb damage, really valuable. That's why these gloves are good in this build composition. The sticky bomb damage augments, my offensive ability very nicely. Then down to my holster, 240. These could be much better rolls. 590 is actually an atrocious roll in firearms. It has armor as a major attribute, that's great, but the main thing that I'm looking at is skill attributes, sticky bomb damage. Again, so my sticky bomb is going to be a force to be reckoned with. There could be a better holster, to put into this build to achieve a better min-max composition, but, this gets the job done, and it's good enough for me. The build is functional. So moving on to my weapons, they don't really matter. I'm really not going to cover it. Just an MP7, but it's important to have something in the third slot. I don't actually have it here, but something in the third slot that augments, a skill build. If you have something that gives you more skill power, or something that extends the duration of your signature skill, anything that has to do with skill power is something you're going to want in, favor over something that, augments a firearms weapon DPS build. The same with your secondary. I don't actually have one. I have prepared. Not really relevant to this build. I will get some use out of it, but nothing special. So looking at those third talents, because you don't need the requirements, those are going to be nice. Moving on, I'm going to talk about my skills and then my talents. So sticky bomb with BFB. Something really quick to note: if you can achieve the 250,000 damage cap on proximity fuse, get that right away. Proximity fuse has a lower cooldown, as you can see, 23 seconds for me, versus BFB that has 32 seconds, so that's a really big difference. It has a larger explosion radius, 6.84 meters versus 4.93 meters, so if you can achieve the cap, go to proximity fuse right away, but if you can't and you need to use BFB to get that 250, then go ahead and do that. Then I use, overheal. This is going to be a really powerful burst heal. It's going to keep your teammates alive. It's going to keep you alive. And overall, it's just something really valuable and something you're definitely going to want to run. Moving on to your talents, I'm going to talk about what I need there. You're going to want chain reaction first and foremost, because you're using a sticky bomb offensively. That's what you're going to put on right away. That's really nice. Another thing you're going to want is triage, especially from a team squad-based style of gameplay. You want triage for that 15% cooldown reduction. And then I'm using critical save to make my medkits more worthwhile. I like that a lot. It makes me more tanky, especially if I can pop it in the last health segment. And then on the move, you can easily swap this out. I would say, actually, in reality, I have this on left over from a different build. I would say strike back. Achieve low health, active skill cooldowns by 20%. Get your heal back faster. Get your sticky bomb back faster. It's really valuable. So that's the talents. Now I'm going to throw it over to some gameplay. I'm going to talk about it, show how it performs in a PvP scenario in the Dark Zone, and hopefully give you guys an overview of whether or not you want to use the build. Okay, so one of the things this build excels at is ambushing. You can pop your explosives, you can give your whole team bonus damage, that stagger effect, and then you can ambush them with the sticky bomb, proc chain reaction. So boom, I actually drop one, I drop the second with my sniper as he's climbing. That's 2 kills in a span of 2 seconds. It's a really nice build. The third guy does get away because I had to reload my magazine. If I didn't, I might have actually dropped him with the explosive bullets, who knows. But it's a functional build, especially if you're initiating from a neutral standpoint and people aren't ready for it. It excels in that regard. Another thing I would note is that from a solo play perspective, a lot of people say I don't have a dedicated squad. I don't actually have people I can play with routinely. So it's difficult for me to go into the Dark Zone. Matchmaking doesn't really do the trick. Well, I would say to those players, if you're running something that's like super DPS oriented, something with offensive capabilities that, it's the primary damage dealer, then, go ahead and switch over to a support style build, something like this. I feel like this kind of build gives you a lot more freedom to actually help your squad. And so if you're match made into a group where people may not actually excel in all areas of the game, and it may not actually, you guys aren't that coordinated, if you have a really strong support group, support style build, I should say, you can augment your group's playstyle, and you can actually help people that normally wouldn't be as good, and you can bring the squad to a higher level of play by helping them. You can choose from a wide variety of support things, such as decreased cooldowns, giving them that bonus burst damage with the special ammo, all these different things. And in the end, I would say it's easier to achieve and to get through content if you're running support and matchmaking, and you have control over, the healing and the burst style damage and stuff like that. Whereas if you're just dealing damage and you're relying on other people to support you, maybe they can't do that as well. So if you get really good at supporting others, you can probably actually carry a team through content much more effectively than you could with just a really strong DPS build. So that's something to consider, just my honest opinion. If you have something different, if you think there's a different way that you can help carry through content, go ahead and let me know in the comments. That'd be great. Getting back to the build, it does perform. Your sticky bomb isn't going to one-shot everyone. With the prevalence of EDR in this patch, a lot of players, as you can see there, that should have actually one-shotted the player before the patch. Maybe not, maybe extremely close, but not quite because of, I didn't proc chain reaction. But, he clearly has two-piece final measure on. He's clearly mitigating a large portion of that damage. That's fine. You still do a large chunk of burst damage even when players have two-piece final measure, especially when you have all this bonus damage going on. But one of your main, values to the team is special ammo, giving everyone consumables. So it's not one-dimensional. It's a little bit better than the Tankclaimer just because of the versatility, and I prefer it, quite a bit. I'm not really great at using the sticky bomb. There's a lot of ins and outs to it. It'll bounce off players when you're pursuing them. It's hard to get in front of them. A lot of different things you have to consider. So someone that has more skill at, getting the most out of the sticky bomb, this build is going to work a lot better for them than it does for me. So that's something to keep in mind. You can put the sticky bomb on the ground, lead people through it, use it as an ambush mechanic. There's a lot of different ways that this build does excel, has both offensive and defensive capabilities, as well as a huge amount of support capabilities that it can contribute to the team. So I do really like the build. Reclaimer is one of my favorite gear sets. It used to be my favorite hands down till I encountered Deadeye, but it is a really great and an innovative style of gear set. So I'm very happy to see that rather than everything being Sentry Striker style DPS gear sets. Now that we have Reclaimer and things to really augment support play, it's really nice to see. And the squad composition in the game is becoming diverse really quickly. So I like that a lot. I'm going to wrap it up here. Just a couple of announcements. The shirts are still available just for a couple more days. I'm probably going to discontinue those after this campaign and never offer them again. So if you want one, there's a link down in the description. Go ahead and get that right away. Another thing to announce, the Facebook community is growing at a really great pace. So if you want to, try and group up, find a squad, maybe you prefer solo play, or maybe you just never were able to find a squad, go ahead and, click the link in the description to the Facebook page. We'll approve you, a moderator will approve you, and then you can start to find people to maybe play with and support the community. That's really nice. That's all I can think of as of right now. In terms of the hissing and the microphone, that's almost taken care of. We're almost there. I was actually sponsored by a company. They're sending me some microphones to test out and give them a review on. So I should have a much better microphone coming very soon. They were actually mailed today, so that's good news. Thank you for everyone who brought that to my attention. I'm going to work as hard as I can to improve the channel overall. And hopefully, within just a matter of weeks, we'll have turned this into a really successful, really large, and really helpful channel to the Division community. So a big thank you to everyone who's supported thus far. It means a lot. I'll try to continue to reply to every comment that I can. It's getting to be a lot right now, but I will, I'll spend hours doing that if I have to. I prefer to answer everyone that, gives me the support that, they don't have to be giving me this support. They could be supporting someone else. So I appreciate that truly, and I'll try to do that justice and produce content that's worthy of having, the support that I have. So thank you everyone who's watching, and as always, have a nice day.